A quotation has already been agreed. SOY should sales, purchasing, warehouse, and finance retype the same requirement across 7 documents. One missed date can leave sales promising the 20th while purchasing plans for month end. In this ERPNext 16 walkthrough, we will verify how 7 selling and buying documents divide responsibility, how 3 custom fields move downstream, how external printouts show business references but hide internal notes, and when field configuration is no longer enough and must become controlled code. Step 1 defines a consistent field set. The tutorial adds the same group to quotation, sales order, delivery note, sales invoice, purchase order, purchase receipt, and purchase invoice. Deal follow-up ref is a data field, so it can be searched and filtered. Promised delivery date is a date field, so teams do not invent incompatible text formats. Internal follow-up note is small text with print hide enabled. The stable field name matters more than the label. Downstream mapping recognizes custom underscore follow underscore up underscore ref, not whatever wording happens to be shown in the interface. A conditional mandatory rule applies only to ERPNext01 tutorial documents, so existing demo records are not disrupted. A real project should validate this in a test environment and version the configuration before deployment. Step 2 inspects the quotation. The sales reference belongs to the English recording chain. The promise date is August 20th, 2026, and the internal note is explicitly marked for follow-up only. 5 units at 260 produce a total of 1,300. A quotation states what is offered, to whom, at what price, and for how long. It is not yet a confirmed customer order, and it does not move inventory or post accounting entries. Step 3 inspects the sales order generated from that quotation. It is not a manually retyped document. The follow-up reference, promise date, and internal note all arrive unchanged, while quantity, rate, and the 1,300 total remain consistent. The item row also retains its quotation source. This is verified same name and compatible type source document mapping. If downstream field names differ or values need conditional conversion, custom field alone is not sufficient. Step 4 inspects the delivery note generated from the sales order. Warehouse users see the same follow-up reference and promise date. 5 units remain linked to the order and the document is submitted. The delivery note controls actual inventory movement. Warehouse staff should not have to reinterpret the customer's requirement from chat messages when the source document can carry it forward. Step 5 inspects the sales invoice. It is generated after delivery, keeps the same reference and promise date, and still totals 1,300. Quotation, sales order, delivery note, and sales invoice are separate documents with different responsibilities, not one screen changing status. Carrying the reference into the invoice allows finance to search revenue and receivables by the same business context. Step 6 moves to the purchase order. Purchasing uses its own purchase follow-up reference, 8 units at 150 and a total of 1,200. The promise date remains August 20th, while the internal note describes supplier expediting and is excluded from supplier printouts. Copying fields along the sales chain does not automatically create a purchase order. Sales-driven procurement still requires a material request, order-specific procurement, dropship or attested script, and approval design. Step 7 inspects the purchase receipt generated from the purchase order. Supplier, product, 8 unit quantity, and 1,200 total come from the source document, and both the follow-up reference and promise date remain consistent. The purchase receipt confirms that goods actually arrived and where they were received. Planned delivery and actual receipt are different controls and must not be collapsed into one edited date. Step 8 inspects the purchase invoice generated from the receipt. The same purchasing reference, promise date, and internal note remain present. The total is 1,200 and item rows retain purchase order and purchase receipt links. The purchase invoice confirms the payable. It does not prove that payment is complete. Payment entry and reconciliation remain separate. This lesson stops at document configuration and mapping instead of claiming unrecorded payment automation. Step 9 verifies external printing. The standard quotation print shows the follow-up reference and promise date so the customer can identify the requirement and expected delivery. The internal follow-up note is absent because print hide is enabled. This setting controls field visibility. Company branding, terms, columns, signatures, and multilingual layouts belong in a controlled print format rather than one oversized remarks field. Finally, keep the customization boundary clear. Custom field is usually enough for extra data, search, filtering, simple mandatory conditions, and print visibility. Fetch from or attested client script can supply interface defaults. Cross-document calculations, automatic document creation, hard validation, and submission blocking must run on the server. If multiple people must maintain, rollback, upgrade, and deploy the change across environments, package it as an independent app and regression test all 7 documents. Never experiment on production while recording a tutorial. In summary, 7 documents do not mean 7 rounds of retyping. Quotation defines the offer. Sales order confirms demand. Delivery note moves stock, and sales invoice recognizes receivables. Purchase order authorizes procurement. Purchase receipt confirms arrival, and purchase invoice recognizes payables. Stable field names preserve context across source documents. Print hide protects internal information, and controlled scripts or apps implement real automation. If you want the next deep dive on print format design or automatic sales to purchase creation, tell me which document causes your team the most trouble.